The United States Navy operates 68 submarines, 18 ballistic missile submarines carrying nuclear deterrent, 50 attack submarines hunting enemy vessels, and 4 cruise missile submarines functioning as underwater arsenals. This is every submarine class in American service, every weapon system they carry, and whether any Navy on Earth can detect platforms designed specifically to be undetectable. We start with the platforms designed to end civilization if orders are ever given. Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine. 14 of these nuclear-powered giants patrol the world's oceans, carrying Trident II D5 missiles, with multiple nuclear warheads maintaining the most survivable leg of America's nuclear triad. Each submarine stretches 560 feet long, displaces over 18,000 tons submerged, and carries 20 Trident missiles, with up to 8 warheads each. The strategic importance is simple. Even if America's land-based missiles are destroyed and bombers are shot down, Ohio-class submarines hiding in ocean depths will survive and launch retaliatory strikes that incinerate the attacker's civilization. These submarines patrol continuously with roughly 12 available for operations at any time and 8 on patrol simultaneously. Nobody knows where they are. Satellites can't track submerged submarines. Surface ships searching for them expose themselves without finding the target. Submarines hunting Ohio-class boats face the reality that American ballistic missile submarines are quieter than ocean background noise. Finding one requires being in exactly the right place with perfect conditions. And even then, detection is uncertain. These submarines receive sealed orders from the president and patrol for months underwater, maintaining communications through extremely low frequency radio that penetrates ocean depths. If America is destroyed and leadership eliminated, submarine commanders open sealed safes containing letters of last resort with final instructions. The content of those letters is classified, but presumably they authorize nuclear retaliation, ensuring that destroying America means the attacker dies too. This is deterrence through assured destruction, the certainty that aggression triggers mutual annihilation. Trident II D5 missile. The submarine-launched ballistic missile that each Ohio-class SSBN carries represents the most reliable delivery system in the American nuclear arsenal. With ranges exceeding 7,400 miles and carrying up to 8 W-76 or W-88 nuclear warheads, a single missile can devastate multiple cities. The missiles launch from submerged submarines, breaking the surface and igniting rocket motors that propel them into space. During mid-course flight, the missile releases multiple re-entry vehicles that follow ballistic trajectories to separate targets. Each warhead impacts with yields ranging from 100 kilotons for W-76 warheads to 475 kilotons for W-88 warheads, roughly 7 to 30 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. The accuracy is measured in meters, meaning these don't just destroy cities, they can hit hardened military bunkers and command centers with precision that makes sheltering pointless. Modern D5 missiles use stellar navigation and GPS when available, though they're designed to function even if GPS is destroyed. Launch reliability exceeds 95% based on test records, meaning these work when ordered to fire. An Ohio-class submarine, carrying 20 missiles loaded with 8 warheads each, represents 160 nuclear weapons that can hit 160 different targets, more strategic firepower than most nuclear powers possess in their entire arsenals. The submarines can launch all missiles within minutes if ordered, creating the rapid second strike capability that makes nuclear war unwinnable. W-76 warhead. The 100 kiloton thermonuclear warhead that arms most Trident missiles provides strategic yield and compact package designed for multiple warhead configurations. These destroy cities, military bases, and infrastructure with blast effects, thermal radiation, and electromagnetic pulse. Modern W-76. 2 variants reduce yield to approximately 8 kilotons for limited nuclear options, the theory being that lower yield weapons provide flexible response. In practice, any use of nuclear weapons risks escalation to full exchange, but the warheads exist. W-88 warhead. The more powerful, 475 kiloton warhead designed to destroy hardened targets like enemy missile silos, deeply buried command bunkers, and reinforced military facilities. These carry more destructive power than necessary for cities, because they're designed to ensure even protected targets are destroyed. The physics package includes safeguards preventing accidental detonation, but once armed and targeted, these represent civilization-ending firepower in weapons smaller than compact cars. Moving on to the cruise missile submarines that provide conventional strategic strike capability. Ohio-class guided missile submarine. 4 Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines were converted to carry Tomahawk cruise missiles and special operations forces. Instead of nuclear weapons, the USS Ohio, USS Michigan, USS Florida, and USS Georgia each carry 154 Tomahawk missiles in modified missile tubes, making them the most heavily armed cruise missile platforms on Earth. These submarines can launch sustained strikes against enemy targets from submerged positions that nobody knows exist, until cruise missiles start hitting targets hundreds of miles inland. The conversion repurposed 22 of the 24 original missile tubes. 2 tubes were converted to lockout chambers for SEAL team operations. while the remaining 22 tubes each hold 7 Tomahawks. This gives each submarine devastating land attack capability while maintaining the stealth and survivability that makes submarines so effective. These boats also embark up to 66 Special Operations Forces, Navy SEALs, or other units, with specialized equipment for covert insertion. This combination of cruise missiles and special operations capability makes Ohio SSGN submarines strategic assets for operations requiring precision strikes and covert ground presence. Tomahawk Cruise Missile, the subsonic land attack weapon that's been the go-to precision strike system since Desert Storm. Launched from vertical tubes on converted Ohio submarines, these fly at low altitude following terrain contours to avoid radar detection. With ranges exceeding 1,000 miles and carrying 1,000-pound warheads, Tomahawks destroy command centers, radar sites, communications facilities, and critical infrastructure with accuracy measured in meters. Modern variants use GPS navigation with digital scene matching that compares terrain to stored maps, ensuring accuracy even if GPS is jammed. Maritime strike variants target enemy ships at long range, giving submarines anti-surface capability beyond torpedoes. When Ohio SSGN submarines launch Tomahawks, enemies face the reality that 154 cruise missiles can arrive from a platform they didn't know existed, until impacts start occurring. This is strategic surprise. Submarines position themselves off hostile coastlines days or weeks before conflict begins, then launch devastating strikes at the opening of hostilities before enemies realize submarines were ever present. Moving on to the attack submarines that hunt enemy vessels and conduct forward operations. Virginia-class attack submarine, the most modern attack submarine in American service, with 21 boats operational and more under construction. These nuclear-powered submarines displace approximately 7,800 tons submerged, stretch 377 feet long, and carry advanced sensors that detect enemy submarines and surface ships at extreme ranges. The distinguishing feature is operational flexibility. Virginia-class boats conduct anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, strike missions with Tomahawk missiles, intelligence gathering, special operations support, and mine warfare. Unlike older submarines optimized for specific missions, Virginias handle everything. The Virginia payload module being added to newer boats adds 4 large-diameter tubes carrying 7 Tomahawks, each, increasing total loadout from 12 to 40 Tomahawk missiles, while maintaining full torpedo capacity. These submarines are quieter than ocean background noise, in most conditions, making detection nearly impossible for adversaries without being in perfect position with ideal acoustic conditions. Advanced sonar arrays detect extremely quiet enemy submarines at ranges where older systems heard nothing. Photonics masts replace traditional periscopes, providing 360-degree visual coverage without penetrating the hull. These submarines represent the cutting edge of undersea warfare, platforms that see everything while remaining invisible. Mk-48 AgCap torpedo, the heavyweight torpedo that arms Virginia-class and other American attack submarines, represents the primary anti-submarine and anti-surface weapon. With ranges exceeding 25 miles and speeds over 60 knots, these home on target acoustic signatures using both wire guidance and autonomous homing. Submarine commanders can control the torpedo during initial approach using fiber optic wire, steering it toward the target while updating attack parameters. Once close enough, the torpedo's onboard sonar activates and homes autonomously, maneuvering to intercept even if the target takes evasive action. The 650-pound high-explosive warhead destroys submarines with single hits and can sink surface ships by detonating under the keel. The explosion creates a gas bubble that lifts the ship and breaks its back as water rushes back. Modern AID-cap variants distinguish actual targets from decoys and countermeasures using advanced signal processing. When American submarines fire Mk-48 torpedoes, targets have minutes to respond before detonation. Against other submarines without warning, survival is nearly impossible. Against surface ships, defensive torpedoes might intercept the incoming weapon, but most surface vessels lack effective torpedo defenses. This is why submarines are so lethal. Tomahawk, from Virginia-class. Virginia submarines carry 12 Tomahawk missiles in vertical launch tubes, forward of the sail, separate from torpedo tubes. Block 4 and Block V variants provide land attack and anti-ship capability, with ranges exceeding 1,000 miles. The submarine launches these while submerged. The missile breaks the surface, ignites rocket motors, and flies to targets. Virginia payload module boats carry 40 Tomahawks total, providing strike capability approaching Ohio SSGN levels, while maintaining full anti-submarine effectiveness. This gives American submarines ability to destroy land targets deep inland from positions off hostile coasts. Submarine commanders receive strike orders, launch Tomahawks from submerged positions, and enemy air defenses face cruise missiles arriving from unexpected directions. Advanced sonar systems. Virginia-class submarines employ bow-mounted spherical sonar array, towed array sonar, trailing behind the submarine, flank arrays along the hull, and high-frequency arrays for close-range detection. This provides 360-degree acoustic coverage detecting everything from quiet submarines to surface ships to torpedoes. Modern signal processing distinguishes targets from ocean noise, biologics, surface traffic, geological sounds that would mask detections in older systems. The sonar systems are passive, meaning they listen without transmitting, avoiding detection while building comprehensive acoustic picture of surrounding waters. When necessary, active sonar sends powerful pulses that reflect off targets, providing precise range and bearing data at the cost of revealing the submarine's position. American submarines rarely use active sonar because passive systems are so effective and active transmission eliminates the stealth advantage. Photonics mast. The replacement for traditional periscopes uses cameras mounted on retractable masts, providing 360-degree visual coverage, infrared imaging, laser rangefinding, and electronic support measures. Unlike penetrating periscopes requiring the submarine to maintain specific depth and orientation, photonics masts provide complete situational awareness without constraining submarine maneuvering. High-resolution imagery displays on screens in the control room, and multiple operators can view feeds simultaneously rather than queuing for periscope time. Infrared capability detects heat signatures at night, identifying ships and aircraft invisible to optical sensors. Electronic support measures detect radar emissions, providing warning when enemy ships or aircraft are searching nearby waters. Seawolf-class attack submarine. 3 submarines built in the 1990s as the ultimate anti-submarine platforms, optimized for hunting Soviet submarines in Cold War scenarios. Seawolf-class boats are faster, deeper diving, and quieter than any other submarines in American service. The USS Seawolf, USS Connecticut, and USS Jimmy Carter represent the most capable attack submarines ever constructed, though only 3 were built because the Cold War ended, and the $3 billion unit cost was unsustainable. These displace over 9,000 tons submerged, carry 50 weapons, torpedoes and missiles, compared to Virginia's 37, and can dive deeper than 1,600 feet. The pump jet propulsion is quieter than traditional propellers, making these submarines undetectable in most acoustic conditions. USS Jimmy Carter is modified with a 100-foot plug section, adding mission spaces for intelligence gathering and special operations, making it longer than Ohio-class submarines. Seawolves handle missions requiring absolute best capability, operations in Arctic waters, under ice, intelligence gathering near hostile coastlines, tracking the quietest enemy submarines. These represent peak submarine technology without cost constraints, proving what's possible when engineering excellence supersedes budget concerns. Advanced weapons loadout. Seawolf-class submarines carry 50 weapons in torpedo tubes and vertical launch tubes, compared to Virginia's smaller capacity. This allows sustained operations without rearming, conducting multiple engagements before returning to port. The larger magazine supports prolonged deployments where resupply is impossible. For special missions requiring maximum weapons load, Seawolves bring capabilities other submarines can't match. Arctic capability. Seawolf-class submarines operate under Arctic ice where few submarines can function. Reinforced sails withstand surfacing through ice, and specialized navigation systems function where GPS doesn't penetrate and celestial navigation is impossible for months. As Arctic waters become strategically important, with climate change opening northern passages, submarines capable of operating under ice gain advantages. Seawolves maintain American undersea dominance in polar regions, where Russian submarines operate extensively. Los Angeles-class attack submarine. The backbone of American attack submarine forces for decades, with 28 boats remaining in service, as Virginia-class production gradually replaces them. These nuclear-powered submarines displace approximately 6,900 tons submerged and carry torpedo and missile armament for anti-submarine, anti-surface, and strike missions. Los Angeles-class boats proved themselves in operations from Cold War submarine tracking to launching Tomahawks in Desert Storm, Iraqi freedom, and subsequent conflicts. Later Flight 2 and Flight 3 variants added vertical launch systems for Tomahawks without reducing torpedo capacity, improving strike capability. These submarines are noisier than Virginia and Seawolf boats, making them more detectable by advanced adversary sensors, but they remain capable platforms for missions not requiring absolute stealth. As these retire over the next decade, American submarine numbers will decrease before Virginia production ramps up to maintain force levels. Torpedo tubes and weapons. Los Angeles submarines carry Mk-48 80 cap torpedoes, Harpoon anti-ship missiles, and Tomahawk cruise missiles, launched from 4 torpedo tubes. Vertical launch systems on improved variants carry 12 Tomahawks in dedicated tubes. This provides flexible armament for engaging submarines, surface ships, and land targets. Harpoon anti-ship missiles extend engagement range against surface vessels beyond torpedo distance, launched from torpedo tubes and flying to targets using inertial guidance and active radar homing. Harpoon anti-ship missile, the subsonic sea-skimming anti-ships capability. With 70-plus mile range and 500-pound warheads, Harpoons destroy or mission-kill frigates, corvettes, and smaller combatants with single hits. Larger warships might survive one Harpoon, but suffer mission-critical damage. Submarines launch these from torpedo tubes. The missile swims out in capsule, Surfaces ignites rocket motor and flies at wave-top height toward targets. Terminal homing uses active radar to lock onto ships, making evasion difficult. This gives submarines ability to engage surface targets without closing to torpedo range where the submarine might be detected. Moving on to supporting capabilities and technologies. Nuclear propulsion. Every American submarine except 4 retired diesel boats uses nuclear reactors for propulsion, providing unlimited underwater endurance limited only by crew provisions and maintenance requirements. Nuclear submarines operate submerged for months without surfacing, cruising at speeds exceeding 20 knots for sustained periods. This eliminates the vulnerability diesel submarines face, the requirement to surface or snorkel for battery charging that exposes them to detection. American nuclear submarines submerge upon leaving port and don't surface again until returning, maintaining stealth throughout patrols. The reactors require refueling once every 3 years depending on class, effectively providing lifetime power for the submarine. This strategic advantage allows American submarines to deploy globally without requiring forward bases or support vessels for refueling. Submarines leaving port in Virginia can patrol Western Pacific waters, conduct operations, and return without support. Acoustic quieting. Every component, from reactor pumps to propellers, is designed and mounted to minimize noise transmission into the water. Anechoic tiles coat hulls, absorbing sonar pulses and reducing acoustic signature. Machinery mounts on isolation systems that prevent vibrations from reaching the hull. Propellers are precisely manufactured to avoid cavitation that creates noise. The cumulative result is submarines quieter than ocean ambient noise in most conditions. At slow speeds, American submarines are functionally undetectable by passive sonar, at ranges beyond a few miles even with ideal acoustic conditions. This makes finding American submarines before they want to be found nearly impossible for adversaries. Communication systems. Submerged submarines communicate using extremely low-frequency radio that penetrates ocean depths, receiving one-way broadcast messages from shore stations without transmitting and revealing position. For two-way communications, submarines rise to shallow depth and extend communications masts, briefly transmitting encrypted messages before returning to depth. Satellite communications provide high-bandwidth connectivity when submarines surface or operate at periscope depth. The standard operating procedure maintains communication security. Submarines receive orders continuously through ELF broadcasts, without transmitting, only sending messages when operationally necessary and minimizing transmission time. Special operations capability. Attack submarines support Navy SEAL teams and other special operations forces through multiple methods. Dry deck shelters mount on submarine hulls, providing pressurized spaces where SEALs can exit and enter submerged submarines using SEAL delivery vehicles or swimmer lockout procedures. Submarines position off hostile coasts, launch SEALs for covert insertion, and recover them after mission completion. This provides infiltration capability that surface vessels and aircraft can't match. SEALs deploy from platforms that enemies don't know exist. Submarines also deploy unmanned underwater vehicles for intelligence gathering, mine reconnaissance, and other missions requiring prolonged underwater presence. Intelligence gathering. Submarines conduct signals intelligence by operating close to hostile coastlines and recording electronic emissions, radar, communications, telemetry from missile tests. Tapping undersea cables provides access to communications that never reach satellite or radio systems that can be intercepted. Photographic reconnaissance, during periscope depth operations, documents naval activities, ports, and coastal facilities. This intelligence gathering exploits submarine stealth adversaries. Don't know submarines are present, so they don't alter behavior or implement security measures. Mine warfare. Submarines lay mines covertly in strategic waterways, choke points, and enemy ports without being detected. Deployed mines can be inactive for days or weeks before activation, allowing submarines to mine harbors before conflict begins. Mines sink or damage ships attempting to use affected waters, denying access to critical maritime areas. This capability provides strategic leverage. The threat of submarine-laid mines forces enemies to conduct extensive mine countermeasures, even if no mines exist, consuming resources and restricting operations. Moving on to operational employment and tactics. Forward deployment. American submarines operate globally from forward bases in Guam, Japan, Scotland, and Bahrain, plus home ports across the United States. This distributed posture enables rapid response to crises. Submarines in Western Pacific can be on station near Korea or Taiwan within days. Submarines in Europe reach Mediterranean or Arctic waters quickly. The Navy maintains continuous ballistic missile submarine patrols, ensuring second strike capability regardless of global events. Attack submarines deploy on rotational schedules, conducting operations ranging from intelligence gathering to tracking foreign submarines to providing strike capability near potential conflict zones. Under ice operations. American submarines regularly operate under Arctic ice, surfacing through ice at the North Pole, and conducting exercises in conditions where few navies can function. As climate change opens Arctic waters and competition for northern resources intensifies, Submarine capability in polar regions provides strategic advantage. Russian submarines operate extensively in Arctic waters, and American submarines conducting under-ice operations maintain awareness of Russian activities, while demonstrating American access to regions Russia might consider exclusive domain. Anti-submarine warfare. The primary mission for attack submarines is hunting enemy submarines before they threaten American carriers, amphibious groups, or strategic submarines. American submarines use passive sonar to detect enemy boats without revealing their own position, tracking targets and maneuvering into attack positions. When ordered or when enemy submarines threaten American forces, attack submarines engage with Mk-48 torpedoes that destroy targets before they realize they're under attack. The tactical advantage is simple. American submarines are quieter than adversary boats, meaning they detect enemies before being detected. This first detection advantage translates into first shot advantage, and submarines rarely survive torpedo attacks without warning. Anti-surface warfare. American submarines threaten enemy surface vessels from aircraft carriers to commercial shipping. Operating unseen, submarines can track surface groups, report positions and movements, and attack when ordered. Mk-48 torpedoes destroy surface ships with single hits in most cases, detonating under keels and breaking ships in half. Harpoon missiles provide standoff engagement, hitting targets from beyond visual range. This capability forces adversaries to conduct extensive anti-submarine operations, even when submarines aren't present. The uncertainty about submarine locations creates operational constraints and consumes resources. Strike warfare. Submarine-launched Tomahawks provide covert strategic strike capability. Submarines position themselves off hostile coasts before conflict begins, then launch cruise missiles when ordered. The first indication of submarine presence is often cruise missiles hitting targets inland. This surprise attack capability provides options for limited strikes without exposing aircraft or surface ships to air defenses. Ohio SSGN submarines carrying 154 Tomahawks can devastate enemy air defenses, command centers, and critical infrastructure in opening strikes that enable follow-on operations by other forces. Moving on to adversary capabilities and challenges. Russian submarines. Russia operates nuclear and conventional submarines with increasingly quiet modern variants. Yasin-class attack submarines represent near-peer capability with advanced sensors and weapons. Kilo-class diesel submarines are extremely quiet when operating on batteries. Russian submarines in Arctic waters, Atlantic approaches, and Pacific create detection challenges for American forces. While American submarines maintain technological advantages, Russian submarine forces are competent and cannot be dismissed. Tracking and prosecuting Russian submarines requires constant vigilance and advanced capabilities American submarines provide. Chinese submarines. China's expanding submarine force includes Type 093 and Type 095 nuclear attack submarines, plus numerous diesel boats. Chinese submarines are noisier than American boats, making detection relatively easier, but numbers matter. Tracking multiple submarines simultaneously creates workload challenges. China's submarine force will continue growing and improving, eventually creating peer competition in Western Pacific waters. American submarine advantages in quieting sensors and weapons remain significant, but the gap narrows as Chinese technology improves. Mines. Naval mines represent significant threats to submarines. Even advanced platforms can be destroyed by mines if they navigate mined waters. This forces submarines to conduct careful route planning, avoid obvious choke points, and coordinate with mine warfare forces. Modern smart mines can distinguish submarines from surface ships and commercial traffic, activating only for military targets. This makes certain waters extremely dangerous for submarine operations without extensive mine countermeasures. Advanced sensors. Adversaries are developing non-acoustic detection methods, including magnetic anomaly detection, weight detection using synthetic aperture radar, and bioluminescence tracking. While these remain experimental and unreliable, they represent potential futures where submarine stealth becomes less absolute. American submarines must continue evolving to maintain advantages as detection technology improves. Moving on to future developments. Columbia-class ballistic missile submarine. The replacement for Ohio-class SSBNs is under construction, with first boats scheduled for 2031 delivery. These will carry 16 Trident II missiles each and operate until 2085, representing the longest service life of any American submarine class. The design prioritizes reliability and stealth, incorporating decades of operational experience into submarines that must maintain strategic deterrent for over half a century. These will be quieter than Ohio boats, incorporate improved reactor designs requiring no refueling over 40-plus year service life, and use advanced manufacturing techniques, reducing construction time and cost. Virginia-class Block V and beyond. Continued Virginia production with Virginia Payload Module provides 4.0 Tomahawk capacity while incorporating technological improvements in sensors, weapons, and quieting. Future blocks will integrate new capabilities as they're developed, maintaining Virginia relevance for decades. Production rate of 2 boats annually aims to sustain force levels as Los Angeles submarines retire. Unmanned underwater vehicles. Submarines increasingly deploy UUVs for intelligence gathering, mine reconnaissance, and potential strike missions. These extend submarine capabilities without exposing crewed platforms to risk. Future UUVs might conduct autonomous anti-submarine warfare, creating persistent underwater presence that complements crewed submarines. Advanced weapons. Development continues on longer-range torpedoes, improved Tomahawk variants, and potentially hypersonic weapons that submarines could launch. Electromagnetic weapons, directed energy systems, and other technologies might eventually arm submarines, but timelines remain unclear. Current weapons provide overwhelming capability, and improvements enhance already dominant advantages. That covers the complete American submarine arsenal. The question isn't whether they're powerful. 68 submarines carrying nuclear deterrent, hundreds of Tomahawks, thousands of torpedoes, and sensors that detect everything while remaining undetectable obviously represent dominant capability. The question is whether any navy can consistently find, track, and destroy American submarines before they complete missions. Russia maintains competent forces that require respect. China's fleet is growing, but American submarines are quieter than ocean background noise, operate globally without support, and carry weapons that destroy targets from beyond reaction range. 7 decades of operations and technological evolution created undersea dominance that adversaries struggle to challenge even theoretically.